Okay, this is a question from her ladies' Bible study group. We're currently studying the Old Testament minor prophets. As we have gone through the book of 1 Kings, we have seen several references to the high places. As my group discussed this, we have some questions we're hoping you can help us with. Question number 1, what exactly are these high places? And I haven't read this before, so you have fun with that. I have I have heard you refer to them in your Bible studies, but we are hoping you will give us a good description so we can get a better understanding of what they were, also how they apply to today's society, and then I'll ask you the next two after that one.
Okay, the high places are hills. They're, these guys literally would have places of worship up on top of hills. So you see this like in the book of Numbers when Balaam comes down to Balak and Balak wants him to curse Israel. He takes him up on top of a hill, and then Balaam gives a prophecy, and it's because Balak considers the god of that region to be somebody that would be worshipped from a high place, from a hill, and so that's what it's talking about, up on the top of hills. Is she going to talk about the poles and all that stuff?
Yeah, so that's where I thought maybe you're going. Okay, so this is the second part. 1 Kings 15 says King Asa did what was right in the eyes of the Lord by expelling prostitutes and getting rid of idols. But verse 14 says he did not remove the high places. Do you have any insight on why he left them? And then also 2 Chronicles 14:5 says he removed the high places and incense altars in every town in Judah, which seems to be conflicting statements.
So we're in what?
Okay, the first one was 1 Kings 15.
1 Kings 15.
King Asa did what was right in the eyes of the Lord by expelling prostitutes and getting rid of idols. But verse 14 says he did not remove the high places.
So 15. I'm in 2 Kings. Sorry.
No worries.
Okay, so 15.
Yes.
He also brought into the house of the Lord that's not what that says.
Okay, well, she quotes 1 Kings 15:14.
1 Kings 15.
He did not remove the high places, so maybe it was...
But the high places were not removed. Nevertheless, Asa's heart was, let's see, where are we talking about?
Maybe she's in 13.
Perverted persons. Okay, and then the other passage was?
2 Chronicles 14:5 says he removed the high places and incense altars in every town in Judah.
Okay, well that would let you know that he confined that to Judah. 14:5. Let's see. He also removed the high places and the incense altars from all the cities of Judah, and the kingdom was quiet under him. Okay, so it's not all of Judah; it's from the cities of Judah. Okay, so again, basically, what you have is if you have high places in a city, a lot of these cities were built on hills, and so if you have a high place on a city, that's a town's worship altar, and these worship altars would specifically be altars to, for example, Baal and Ashtoreth, and those were two of the gods. One's a god, one's a goddess, that were worshipped by the Canaanites. And so when you're looking at these two passages, let me just deal with the discrepancy there. When it says the cities of Judah, high places weren't confined to cities. High places were all over the land. And so if he takes them out of the cities of Judah, then you've got a situation where he's confined it to the cities. He doesn't want the worship done in the cities. If he doesn't take the high places out in the countryside, he hasn't fulfilled that whole thing. And so that's what's being spoken about there. It could also be talking about the fact that Judah is one portion of the nation of Judah. It could be talking about the tribal area of Judah. And so there was some moving of the boundaries during the time of the kings. And so it might also be talking about in the boundaried area of Judah, the high places were taken out, but maybe they weren't taken out in Benjamin, or maybe they weren't taken out in Simeon, or maybe they were, and so on. And so it could be talking about that. Um,
Do you have any insight on why he left them?
they were popular. And so what happened, what would happen at the high places is a lot of times Baal was kind of confused with Jehovah. And so these people believed that Baal and Jehovah were the same God. And so it's kind of there would be kind of an ecumenical type of thing. And so you would have a number of the people of Judah who would be saying that they were actually worshiping Jehovah in the high places. And so that would be, and if they were worshiping Baal, that's just an ecumenical thing, and that would be blasphemy against God. The other thing is there were people who actually did worship Jehovah in the high places. And so they didn't confine their worship to Jerusalem, which is what God commanded. And so when the people of Israel were worshiping God, they were commanded to worship in Jerusalem. So they were to come to Jerusalem and they were to offer their sacrifices there. Well, that's not convenient because many people would have to walk miles to do that. That's why they were called to worship 3 times a year. So that was actually for convenience sake. And so if they didn't want to do that, they wanted to do it in their hometown, for example, or in their home area, then they might build an altar to the Lord like Abraham did, or like Isaac and even Jacob did before the coming of the law, and do that. And they would call those the high places too. And so although they were worshiping Jehovah in that instance, they weren't worshiping him in the way that he desired to be worshipped. He confined it to Jerusalem specifically. And there was reasons for that. And it was to point forward to Christ. And so you have high places where there were Ashtoreth and Baal worship, and usually that involved sexual immorality. And that's why you have the whole thing with the prostitutes being taken out. That's that kind of worship that was going on. But then you have the popular worship of Jehovah specifically that many times would take place in the high places. And so Asa, even though he's a godly guy, he's still a politician, and so he's kind of doing the political thing there. He didn't want to follow through on that whole thing. It would make him unpopular, and the people were in disobedience. So.
I was just going to ask that, is like, why go to the length of removing some of these, and you're talking like the temple worship in Corinth or something, it's like he took out the grotesque part, but left enough for people not to like rebel or something. Right, it's kind of like the abortion stance we take politically.
Yeah.
It's bad, but, federally, but state, and they play these political games to try and get around it.